All right. Welcome back to the Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Jake and Tyler here. We're going to be talking about the Milwaukee Bucks being eliminated from the playoffs by the Indiana Pacers for the second year in a row. And we're going to talk about the last week of Milwaukee Brewers games. So we're going to hit the intro. We're going to talk about the games, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff as it relates to the Bucks.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Okay, so as I said, the Bucks got eliminated last night, so we do still have 3 games to talk about from the last week. And we're doing it the opposite way. Normally, Jake and I like to do bad news first, good news last, but this is the opposite way around. So starting with the Milwaukee Bucks' third game against the Pacers, game 3, Friday night, vibes were immaculate, honestly. Yeah. We're at the draft. We're watching the game on my phone. I got my phone screen opened up, and Brian's holding on to it so everybody around us can watch. And we're all watching the game on our phone or on my phone while we're waiting for the picks to come in, and the Bucks are just beating the hell out of the Pacers, and it's a great time, and we get a Bucks and 6 chant going. And honestly, like as far as the game goes, obviously, I'm just going to leave the Damian Lillard part of it out because we know what happens in game 4. But Damian Lillard did not shoot well in game 2 or game 3. But Damian Lillard led by example this game by locking in on defense.
Yes, he did.
And honestly, I was impressed.
Mm-hmm.
I was really, truly impressed with the level of Damian Lillard's defense in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And he started off by getting a steal from Miles Turner in the first quarter, just poked it away from behind him. Then he blocked Pascal Siakam at the rim. Yep. And then he blocked TJ McConnell at the rim in the fourth quarter. I mean, he finished with a team high 2 blocks and also had 2 steals. And the Bucks, I mean, they held the Pacers to 44 second half points. I'll say Jericho Sims played good on ball defense, even though the numbers don't reflect it. Mm-hmm. But the Pacers shot 3 of 7 versus Kyle Kuzma. They shot 1 of 9 versus Brook Lopez. They shot 6 of 16 against Damian Lillard, and they shot 4 for 13 against Bobby Portis. Like the Bucks did a really good job defensively this game. Giannis was making his free throws. We were excited about that while we're watching the game. He missed his first one and then made 9 in a row. Gary Trent Jr. inserted into the starting lineup. Great call by Doc Rivers. He went crazy. It was super fun to watch. We were all just yelling bang every time he hit another one, similar to last night, but we'll get there. His 9 threes tied Ray Allen for a Milwaukee Bucks playoff record. He finished with 4 steals, 3 rebounds, in addition to his 37 points. I will say the bench in this game was probably the best at holding serve in the non-Giannis minutes. Don't have to win those minutes. They just had to just kind of play even, tread water. I will say with this game as well, Bobby Portis, he had the opportunity to make some open shots and didn't. And Connor, welcome back. Good to see you for a second night in a row. Good to see Bobby Portis knocking down his mid-range, though, even though he wasn't making all of his open threes and stuff like that. Kevin Porter Jr., again, not the most disciplined shot selection in game 3. And then the last thing that I had was I liked how Kyle Kuzma played off the ball in this game. And he played good defense. He made good decisions. He made good cuts. I was overall pleased with Kyle Kuzma in this game. I wasn't looking for him to score 20 a game in this series. I was really just looking for him to score like 10 to 14 efficient points.
Yeah.
And he did that in this game. Giannis and Gary Trent Jr. became the first Bucks teammates to have 35-plus points in a game in the playoffs. It's interesting that never happened with anybody else. But, yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I had from Game 3 last Friday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you get Gary Trent Jr. Making 9 threes, as previously mentioned. You also have A.J. Green making 4 3-pointers off the bench. So right there is your 13 of your 15 3-pointers from those 2 guys. And those are really the 2 guys that kind of showed up from behind the arc this series and in a lot of games this season. So those are 2 guys that have to be, at the forefront, and we are we're planning some off-season stuff. I'm just going to, tease it right now. We're planning some off-season stuff. We're going to Tyler said he wants to go big. He wants to go big. He wants to get in depth. And I'm like, I'm game, dude. So we're gonna plan some stuff. We're gonna get some stuff ready. Just at the forefront. Obviously, I've been talking about it, been tooting my own horn. It feels good to be right about stuff. Gary Trent Jr., he's gonna be expensive. He might have outpriced himself, honestly, in the 2 of the last 3 games. There's going to be a lot of people that have more money than we do, although we'll find out what the money is. I mean, you got guys like Brook Lopez that may retire. You got a contract like a Bobby Portis that may be able to be moved, that may free up some more money.
There's lots of options.
There's lots of options and we've been in cap situations before with Wisconsin sports. Just think of the Packers, with Aaron Rodgers. And I always go back to a quote when talking about the cap, and I think about what Goot said. And he said there's lots of ways to manipulate the cap room.
Yep.
And that's the same for every league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not baseball. You need to get funded from TV programs, but, it is what it is. In terms of basketball, there's ways to get around that stuff. So the future isn't as dim as people think it is. Just going to preface that right now.
Yep.
But the way Gary Trent Jr. played, he has to be a guy. He played really good, for the Bucks down the stretch. So maybe this is a place that he could see himself playing for a 3-year stretch while Giannis is still here. Guy like AJ Green has come along very nicely. His defense got a lot better down the stretch because he was having some tough games the last month of the season where he wasn't playing super good individual, super good team defense, and he wasn't shooting the ball well. And he really turned it on the last 2 weeks of the season and in the playoffs. He played really well, I thought. Overall, like you said with Dame, I was so impressed that he was locking in on defense. After all the years of people saying that he was a cone, for him to lock in like that, I mean, this guy came back from a blood clot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not joking around. That's like life-threatening. People say that's life-threatening stuff.
Yeah.
And he forced his way back onto the court.
In like 3.5 weeks.
In like 3.5 weeks, way before schedule, worked his ass off. I mean, he was working out this last offseason, just literally beating the hell out of himself to try to come back in better shape, because we all know what happened last year, with his now ex-wife and stuff. That's none of my business. That's his personal life. But that stuff does take a toll on you on the court as well. But tough couple of years for Dame. But for him to lock in a playoff game when the Bucks needed it, absolutely nothing but respect for him, man. And we're not taking any Dame slander on this page.
Nope.
We're not going to allow people to talk stupid and say that the trade, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
And I really think every time I see somebody say the team was ruined when they traded Drew Holiday, that's no. Did you forget what Drew Holiday looked like against the Miami Heat
and the Celtics?
I'm going to tell you right now. The Celtics series didn't hurt as bad because, when Middleton went down, it kind of felt like, okay, Giannis was going amazing.
That's why it bothered me so much because, Giannis putting his back on the team on his back more than he did in this Pacers series.
No, I know.
He had a generationally great series against the Pacers and basically took him 7 by himself.
And I'm not saying that losing in the playoffs against the Pacers didn't hurt, but I'm gonna tell you what, man. That Heat series, literally, that did stuff to me, man. That hurt more than this one.
That was tough to watch. Jimmy Butler
was doing whatever he wanted against everybody.
Literally whatever he wanted.
And
it was insane.
And on this team, we don't have a guy that's known as one of the best individual defenders outside of Giannis, right? I'm talking perimeter defenders.
Right.
Drew Holiday is a guy who's supposed to be a neutralizer to guys, especially when they get hot. But this Pacers team, they play very good team ball. Got to give them credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
And that Heat series was tougher to watch because it was really just Jimmy Butler just
going insane. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna deal with the Dame ruin this franchise. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Wes pretty much summed it up that it was tough to watch, but we're excited to see what next year holds. That's pretty fair. That's pretty accurate to how we feel too.
I agree.
And that's kind of the way we've built our page. I mean, obviously we're not excited that the Bucks lost and that we don't get any more Bucks games. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say about game 3, if you want to get into game 4.
I mean, people were talking about, oh, it's just one game because Gary Trent Jr. is going insane. Oh, the Pacers shot bad from three. They had three guys that made at least three pointers. That's plenty enough in a playoff game to win. I mean,
Sure.
Siakam was 3 for 4, Nesmith was 4 for 8, and Halliburton was 4 for 9. He had 14, 10, 7, and 10. I mean, that's plenty from three players on your team.
Yeah.
When the Bucks only really have two guys going. I mean, Dame wasn't even scoring in the game, so
Right.
don't give me none of that. The Bucks won this game more than the Pacers lost this game. Is what I'm trying to say.
As we go into games 4 and 5, honestly, with game 4, I have very little takeaways. I was bothered more to see Damian Lillard's season end and probably his 2025 end. Like, we're probably not going to be seeing Damian Lillard on a basketball court until 2026.
Yeah.
That bothered me more than the Bucks losing games 4 and 5.
Yeah.
We got two, rusty playoff games of Dame, who came back from a blood clot, which, again, we can't overstate like how crazy that is.
Yeah.
And thankfully it happened to him in his leg, so it's not anywhere near his heart or his lungs or something like that. Like Victor Wembanyama's, I believe his was like in his shoulder area.
Yeah.
So that's scary when it's that close to your heart.
Right.
So blood clot gets to your heart. That's almost like life-ending time, not season-ending time.
Yeah.
So he came back from that, and I don't understand how people are like, oh, what if this is it for Dame? Like, you realize he was working out with David Goggins last offseason, right? Like, one of the, if not the most intense dudes on the planet.
Dude, he is insane. He's like quite literally insane, dude.
Like, he running 100-mile races with 2 broken feet. That's how insane David Goggins is.
That's not normal.
And people were questioning if Dame was going to call it a career from a torn Achilles. Like, Kobe Bryant didn't call it a career from a torn Achilles. Kevin Durant didn't call it a career at torn Achilles. Damian Lillard is not calling it a career on a torn Achilles a year after working out with David Goggins all summer.
Bro, we just watched Aaron Rodgers, who's older than Damian Lillard, come back from an Achilles and play pretty good football, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So the thing is nobody shot well in game 4. The team was 15 of 37 on threes, which is 40.5%, but just 37 of 89 overall. That's 41.6%. That's a pretty rough field goal shooting night. And then the Pacers shot 60%, 46% from 3. The Bucks did make their free throws, but the defensive intensity from game 3 was not there. And we just talked about Damian Lillard leading by example with the defensive intensity in game 3. And you will not convince me. I don't care how many players will say it. They'll tell you that they're trying to win for Dame. There is not a scenario where you see your teammate tear his Achilles 6 minutes into a game and it does not psychologically affect you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it's an excuse and that we shouldn't take any stock into game 4 because of it, but it's a human aspect of the game. Like, these athletes are still humans.
Mm-hmm.
You have these guys that you've been playing basketball with and spending time with every single day, all day.
Yep.
For the last 8 months, and then you see the guy tear his Achilles. Like, there's no part of you that just shuts that off.
Yeah, let me interject real quick. I got to give some respect to some people. I got to give respect to Halliburton, what he said after the game. He said there's no secret how much I admire Dame. And I got to give really mad respect to Miles Turner, who not only did he dominate on the court, he played a great game. I was there, unfortunately. But he said, everybody sees all the talking and all this other stuff, but I agree.
Reggie.
It's really a brotherhood in the NBA is really what he was saying. And he said, outside of all this stuff, we're all still friends. We go on vacations together. Like, there's no secret that Bam and Dame are good friends. I mean, that was reported for months and months and months leading up to the Dame trade to Milwaukee, even after he got traded to the Bucks. People were talking about how Dame would rather be in Miami with his buddy Bam. I mean, these guys are all friends off the court. I mean, maybe not Doofus from – I'm not going to name him from the Pacers. He probably doesn't have many friends. I'm talking about 00. But, yeah, other than that, I mean, I love Miles Turner. I mean, there's no secret. Tyler's one that started the hype train on maybe him coming to Milwaukee next year. That would be insane.
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Dude, and I feel like you're on the same timeline as I was with Gary Trent Jr. So
right, that's valid. That's
dude,
valid.
Maybe we'll have back-to-back years where I picked one and then you picked one.
That
And
would
just
be
like, hell yeah,
insane.
dude. But
Just get the
I just want to give them credit, because they were kicking our tail in a little bit, and they still showed respect to Dame. Who, if you're a Bucks fan, and you say, "Oh, this is disappointing," we got Dame. What was all the talk about? Dame's one of the best basketball players to ever play the game.
What scenario in life are we in where 25, 6, and 7 isn't impressive?
People have really high expectations, I guess.
Like when Michael Redd was averaging that, like he was one of the 2 best players in the league.
Right.
It's just like the numbers have gotten so normalized that people don't actually recognize like how great Dame still is.
Right. I agree.
I'll give Kevin Porter Jr. credit. This was easily his best playoff game, and he did step up in the absence of Dame. Outside of that, like you said it, Bobby Portis was great on offense, bad on defense. Like if you watch our show, I went back and forth on trading him and keeping him the entire season. And we're going to have that conversation again this offseason, which, like I said, I want to do thorough. I want to be really thorough on the Bucks offseason. We'll talk about that in just a minute when we get through with Game 4 and Game 5. But anything else you want to say on Game 4 before we talk about last night?
I got to be honest. I thought I hate doing this, man. I thought the refereeing was terrible. This entire series, Giannis is just getting fucking mugged, dude.
Let's carry that over because there's more.
He's getting hit around the face, grabbed around the neck, grabbed around the shoulders. They're not even reviewing. I'm gonna get upset. They're not even reviewing it. That's the first thing.
They did, but not enough.
They're barely looking at stuff. Giannis is getting 2 hands shoved in the back and then getting called for travels.
Yep.
I mean, there's 3-4 people around Giannis every damn time he takes a layup. Yep. And because Giannis oh my God, I cannot express how much I appreciate Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know me, and you know me personally, how much I loved Aaron Rodgers, dude. Aaron Rodgers is that guy, dude. Like, he's my all-time favorite, dude. He was the fucking man, dude. He was running shit. He was in control. Every pass he needed to make, he made it, dude. Like, he was the man. Giannis is right there, dude. In my heart, in my mind, he's right there in terms of Wisconsin, like, best players I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And he doesn't complain. He just takes the bumps. I mean, he complains when he doesn't think he did anything wrong, which last night when he got called for a travel off a spin move, he takes 2 forearms to the back and they call it travel.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to me.
Yep.
He doesn't flop. He doesn't get into that culture. He does his job, dude. He plays defense. I mean, there was a play at the start of the game yesterday where he bumped into Siakam, which got him his first foul, and he's yelling at the ref, "Let us play. Let him play, dude."
Yeah.
The Pacers want to do all this talking, but they don't want to do none of the walking.
Yeah.
And there was points in this game when the Pacers got back into it and they took the lead that the Pacers were controlling the pace.
Yep.
And the Bucks weren't being as physical as they were in the first and the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And that's when the Bucks were playing better, when they were able to get their hands on them, get more physical.
Yeah.
And the thing that really messes me up about that is, I believe it was Bobby Portis that said it after, I believe it was Game 2, that they have to be more physical with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they go into Game 3 and they're more physical on defense.
Yeah.
Then they go into Game 4 and everybody has their goddamn hands in their pockets. And then they get into Game 5 and they start this game and they're super physical. They're in their face. They're switching everything. We finally switched the lineups. That's
big time.
Doc was being so bullish on that. He should have switched the lineup probably after Game 2, in my opinion. Which, I mean, I know he put Gary Trent Jr., but And I love Brook Lopez, but I've talked about it with you a bunch of times. This was the absolute worst matchup for Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez, if the Bucks were able to survive this series, much better matchup versus Cleveland.
Yep. Even New York.
Much better matchup versus New York.
Yeah.
But, Cleveland, they got Jared Allen. They got a couple bigs. They like to stay down low. They don't have a Miles Turner who has a quick first step off the pump fake,
Right.
But he should have switched the lineups a little bit sooner. But, the physicality aspect and the inconsistency with the refs on the calls, dude, it's just honestly.
You know what bothered me the most about the officiating in this series? The fact that they let Andrew Nembhard drag his pivot foot every single time he stopped his dribble.
I agree with that.
Constantly dragging his pivot foot.
And also, the freaking every time that Mathurin and Nembhard would drive, they had this thing locked and loaded before they even got to the rim. I'm like, what are we? And then they call foul on the Bucks for body. I'm like, well, yeah. They're seeking out contact right here.
Right. And Reggie said it feeling like refs versus Bucks. Like, the last 2-minute report from last night that Halliburton's and one at the end of overtime should not have been a foul.
Mm.
I'm not going to say that was, the Bucks lost because of that, because the Pacers had 10.8 seconds left. Or not. Actually, I think it was like almost the exact same amount of time. And they could have made a 3 instead of a 2. Like, I'm not going to say that the Pacers wouldn't have a shot to hit a 3 because they made 3s during this series. So, like,
they did.
It's obviously harder to make a 3 than a driving layup. But, it just felt like, why are we blowing the whistle? It seems like at times the Bucks were expecting to be able to play more physically and then weren't allowed to. But then when the Bucks were playing physically offensively, then they're letting stuff go.
Yeah.
And, Reggie, I mean, we talked about it all season long, like how much Giannis improved his post fade and his mid-range. It didn't bother me that he didn't go to the rim so much as it bothered me that he didn't kick the ball out to AJ Green when he got double teamed, because they double teamed him with like 4 seconds left.
Yeah.
And AJ Green was rotating towards him. I thought he had AJ Green for what would have been a pretty open look.
By AJ Green standards, yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been mad for drawing something up. Marcus Johnson said to use Giannis as a decoy. I wouldn't have been mad at using Giannis as the inbounder and drawing something up for Gary Trent Jr. to take the last shot.
Yep.
With as superhuman as he was going. Like, he had 12 points in the fourth quarter. There was opportunities there, and I'm not going to be like, nope, the ball should not be in our best player's hands. And that's AJ Green. It is what it is when it comes to it, but that was the moment being a little too big for AJ Green. Like, it's hard to have to say that about your own players, but obviously that's why experience matters.
Yep.
Justin, I like you, but I'm not going to read that comment because I'm not doing that.
That sounds like a you problem, Justin.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, but
yeah, we keep that separate. It comes down to like an experience thing for AJ Green to have a turnover late in the game like that, throwing the ball basically to Gary Trent Jr.'s feet. But yeah, I mean, let them follow you. Make them follow you. There's the likelihood of them not calling a foul if they come and try to slap the ball from behind you. Like, they're not going to let that go. If somebody runs from behind you and tries to slap the ball out of your hands, I get that you see a teammate open, but obviously taking care of the ball is more important than running out the entire clock.
Yeah.
Because you're up 2, then you're tied. You have the opportunity there. They were up 1. Sorry. You got to play the free throw game. So it is what it is. Reggie said it actually made me super sad seeing Giannis emotional. And that's the thing, it's obviously us as fans, people just want to be upset because the season's over and, we should have 5 rings. We have Giannis. Like, it doesn't work that way. And then people are doing we should trade Giannis so he has a chance to win. Like, if you're expecting them to win, but also saying that he should get traded because they don't have a chance to win, like, your expectations and your post-season ending thoughts are not matching up. You can't say that you sit here and you have high expectations for this team and then say that the Bucks should trade Giannis to have somewhere that he can actually win. Either your expectations are wrong or your thoughts on what Giannis should do with his career are wrong.
Well, how about we just let him decide what he wants to do with his life?
No kidding. Not to mention he's under contract.
Yeah, he's got 2 years left under contract. But let's just let him decide.
My thing with people being like, we should trade Giannis, and it's clickbait every single time you will see it. Because if the Lakers lose tonight, nobody's going to be saying that LeBron should be traded out of LA.
Nope, Luka's the scapegoat right now.
So nobody's going to say that those guys should be demanding out of LA if they lose in the first round, and they're the 3 seed, not the 5.
Yeah, they had home court advantage, yeah.
The reason that they're saying it is because Giannis is in Milwaukee. And yes, Justin, not having Lillard was tough. It was a good game. It really was. Like, if you take out the fact that it was a heartbreaking loss, it was a great basketball game.
I mean, I said it in the back chat yesterday. I really want people to appreciate the heart that the Bucks showed yesterday. Because the day before, and I'm talking about Monday night, the Miami Heat literally laid down and showed no heart.
Yeah.
And they have City Connect jerseys that say Heat culture. And you go down and you lay down in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You get whomped by 50-plus points.
Yeah.
That's your fucking culture. The Bucks culture is much better than Miami's.
Yeah. Reggie, I'm not even going to entertain the question because I don't think it's in the question. I don't think it's even in question. So I'm not even going to entertain it. Because he's not going anywhere. Like, you listen to the way that he talks, like, he's not going anywhere. And he talks about his respect for his teammates, for where he is. Like, he's not going anywhere. He's not going to ask to go anywhere.
I think 2 things factor into that. One, you gotta read into the stuff that he's already said. Like, he literally said this year that they would have to drag me out of Milwaukee to get me to leave. I mean, I'm paraphrasing there, but He said something along those lines. And another thing is the post that his wife made after the game, obviously seeing how emotional he was. And him being emotional is a good sign for the Bucks, in my opinion. Him being emotional means that he cares and he wants to fight and he wants the Bucks to keep playing. Now, he kept saying me because he's not going to speak for another man. But his wife's post talking about, look at the life that you built. I'm proud of you. She's going to have a lot to say in his future, in my opinion. And if they're happy in Milwaukee, they like their house, they like their community. There's a lot to be said for living in a smaller city like Milwaukee. Yep. You get more privacy there. Mm-hmm. What if they're the kind of people that don't want to be in New York media or LA media or Texas media
or Florida? Like
they don't want to be a part of that. What if they like what they have? Is it so crazy to think that maybe Milwaukee can have a superstar? Is that crazy to people?
I think it is.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Giannis is not an American-born player.
That's the big piece.
So all these people who are Americans thinking like an American, and by the way, I came from a small town in Wisconsin, so maybe I'm biased in this. I would absolutely hate the idea of living in New York
or LA.
You think I want to be around 300,000 people at any given second? No.
I want nothing to do with LA.
Nothing. I don't want nothing to do with California. Florida, I would maybe consider, but it's hot as hell there. Yeah. I don't really want to deal with that. Maybe Giannis likes living in Wisconsin, dude.
This is from somebody who is not anywhere near Giannis's tax bracket, but like the only draw that Florida would really have for me is that there's no income tax.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
that's about it. But you can't look at Miami and be like, oh yeah, they're going in a much better direction than Milwaukee is. And yeah, Justin, not everybody wants the big city or the warm weather and a million people. Like,
and you know what?
That's the thing with Giannis coming from Greece is like Milwaukee's already a big city to him.
Yeah.
Nashville's a good example. Honestly, I would be down for Nashville. Like, it's a big city, but it's not a crazy big city.
I'll say as a single man, Nashville would be awesome because it's like a 4-to-1 ratio women to men. That's all I'm saying. And the weather there is perfect. So I'm just saying.
But I mean, like, he's about to have his 4th kid here.
Yeah, dude, he's literally like he moved here. The Bucks were really patient with him, brought his family over. Like Giannis takes that shit serious, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's real for him.
Yeah.
And we signed his brother. Thanasis became pretty much a folk hero around here. Like people still love Thanasis.
Yep.
We treat his family with nothing but respect. If he wants quiet time, we give him quiet time. You think New York or Miami?
He's talked about that he can go to the Wisconsin State Fair with his family and people let him walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's established here. And the two things as far as basketball are concerned is, one, doesn't matter where Giannis goes, people are going to build them the same way that the Bucks will.
That's very true.
They're going to say Giannis and a bunch of shooters. Like that's how they're going to build that's how they're going to build a roster.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to look for a guy like Damian Lillard who can run the point and can play with Giannis. Like that's what they're going to do. And the other part of it is, and I can't, this to me, it's such a weak mindset. I'm sorry if this is how you feel and it's going to possibly offend you, but it's a weak mindset if you want to trade Giannis just to get picks. Because if you are trading Giannis for picks, you are hoping to get somebody who has an impact on your franchise like Giannis already has.
Bro, what did we talk about? What did I just talk about with the NFL draft? People overrate the freaking first rounders, dude. Because there's a possibility of drafting a good player when you already have a good player.
You already have a guy who's going to finish top 3 in MVP. You have him now. You are here to contend because you have a guy who is a top 3 player in the world.
Guaranteed.
You want to trade for draft picks to try to find another one? You have one now.
Dude, no matter who you throw up in that top 3, the 2 of the top 3 are Jokic and Giannis every fucking year.
For
I'm
like
sorry
6
for cussing.
years
This
straight.
shit really pisses me off. It's just stupid, bro.
It is, and again, I'm sorry if it offends you. It's a weak mindset to want to trade a franchise player for picks. James said you could do what Boston did to the Nets. Yeah, that was,
bro. Nobody else is fleecing anybody else like that because I still don't know how Boston got away with that.
And Giannis isn't 37 years old; he's 30.
Yeah.
But I mean, wanting to trade your franchise player for picks to maybe have a guy who's going to be as good as Giannis, like he's good now. Build around him. And Andrew said it. I wouldn't trade the past 2 rookies of the year for Giannis. And I guarantee you there's people in our fan base that would say, yes, I would trade Giannis for Wemby. And that's insane to me. That's insane to me. And it's because I believe this that people would rather be in a position where it's like, hey, we're going to be really good in like 3 years than to be in a position where you're trying to contend now.
I have some news for you. You know how Damian Lillard was just going through that blood clot? Guess who else had a blood clot this year? Wemby.
And that's the thing is like that can happen to anybody, but like,
I'm not trying to talk shit.
I wouldn't trade Giannis for Stephon Castle either. I wouldn't trade Giannis for Stephon Castle and Wemby.
Dude, yeah, what are we talking about here, dude? We're talking about Giannis, bro.
We're talking about the best player in the history of the franchise. That's what we're talking about. And you want picks to maybe find another one?
My God.
No. I would rather go through a couple more 15-win seasons than to trade Giannis.
And you know, the other side of the coin to this, you know, because people are talking about, the future is grim in Milwaukee. Well, you know what that tells me? You know, people complain about the Packers not going all in all the time.
Yeah.
John Horst tried his fucking ass off what he had to go all in all the time.
Yeah, like trading Luka for Anthony Davis. And that's the thing is like John Horst is extended. That to me tells me that they're going to continue to retool the roster to try to contend.
Okay.
Which is what you should do.
I gotta say it, dude. They better let him pick the next goddamn head coach.
Yeah.
With all the reports about him wanting Kenny Atkinson. Now I understand that it's the flavor of the month right now, but Kenny Atkinson looks pretty good.
Didn't they get blocked from interviewing him when he was at Golden State?
I thought the reports were that he wanted to go at Kenny Atkinson and Haslam said, no, I want Doc Rivers.
Okay.
So then they went and signed Doc Rivers instead of going after Kenny Atkinson hard.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the thing, Andrew. Trading Giannis would also set a bad precedent for future superstars. We want to be the franchise labeled as the one that isn't loyal to their best player in history.
Hey, that's a good point.
It's not like a guy that we signed in free agency. It's not like the Nets trading KD. He was drafted here. He's developed here. He's won here. He's been MVP here. He's been DPOY here. He's been the champion here. He's been a Finals MVP here. He's been here through the worst seasons, the best seasons. We're in it with Giannis until it's over.
Well, on top of all that, we took a kid, an 18-year-old scrawny kid, and turned him into a man. He literally put on 51 pounds of muscle and grew 2.5 inches and turned into the mammoth of the human being that we get to watch on the court. Giannis literally grew up a Wisconsinite.
Yeah.
So I don't know why this
as
is
far as the playoffs go, I believe here's the thing is that we get into these higher stake games. Obviously, the playoffs are higher stakes than the regular season. There's higher emotions, higher stakes.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that a higher emotional intelligence is required. And I think that's what happens in these situations where people say, oh, I want to just trade Giannis. I don't want to go through this again. Buck up. Suck it up. It's not easy.
That's a good transition. Talking about emotional intelligence. Now we should talk about lack of emotional intelligence from somebody that we saw last night. How? Okay, I'm gonna say this first. Good job, NFL. NFL did a nice job coming out harsh on the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think a draft pick should have been taken, so I'm happy they didn't do that. They fined them heavily. $250K is not chump change.
Yep.
It's not chump change. We see how much money that these teams make. That's still not chump change. Imagine winning $250K. That'd be fucking life-changing for anybody who watches this show.
Yep.
And then $100K towards the defensive coordinator. I don't remember the verbiage on it, but that's great. That's great. That's a good, harsh fine. That's not a slap on the wrist. That's you go around, you found out.
Yeah.
If they don't do anything, and dude, I was yelling today when I was talking to my coworkers. If that was any other fan on that court, if that was any other goddamn fan on that court, he is getting speared into oblivion.
Yeah.
If he is not banned for the rest of the playoffs, at the very least, I will riot. He needs to be banned for the rest of the playoffs.
Let me bring it up when the Bucks were facing the Nets in 2021 and KD's security guard got in PJ Tucker's face.
Yeah.
He's banned.
That's right. I forgot
all
about
NBA arenas.
I forgot about that.
The thing is, it's on the sidelines and I see that. And then I see later on that he's standing on the court, like near the 3-point line while Giannis is standing at the free throw line. How the hell is a fan, I don't give a shit whose dad it is, standing on the court after a game ends when the players are still out there?
To add on to it, there was a cameraman standing there taking pictures of it.
Well, I mean, that's the cameraman's job. The cameraman's
I
job
know.
is to be security. Where the hell is security?
Security walks up all calm. Watch the whole video. Security just walks up and just like, we got to go, Mr. Halliburton. They tap him on the shoulder like he's an 80-year-old man.
No.
Fuck that. Tackle his ass next time.
No. There should be no scenario where there's fans interacting with players.
At all.
Unless it's a championship and they're allowing people in. This is not that scenario.
No.
This is a team was just eliminated. You're allowing your home fans to get in the face of your opponents? Players? How the hell are you allowing that? I'd be embarrassed if that happened at Fiserv. Like, if Thanasis was getting in Halliburton's face after game 3, I'd be embarrassed. Stay off the court. You have no business being on the court.
Agreed.
You need to let the players walk off.
And
there's not a single scenario where you are at work doing your job and somebody who's not supposed to be there just walks up and you're just like, oh yeah, hey, and they're starting to interview with you while you're at work. How would that be okay? even Spike Lee to Reggie that's on the sidelines and he's not actually getting physically in his face.
Yeah, he wasn't on the court.
That's heckling as a fan on the court side.
Yeah.
Drake, when he was in Toronto, that was just him being too close to a coach.
Yeah.
There's no scenario where any single person who is not a player or coach or official should be on the court in the face of a player.
Dude.
And then to come out today and make some bullshit Twitter apology like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, shut up. You're not sorry. You're only sorry because you look bad in the court of public opinion.
Yep.
And I will say, as far as this series went, Tyrese Halliburton talked a lot of shit. And I didn't love the way that he carried himself, but he kept it on the court.
He did.
He kept it inside the lines.
He did.
So it's going to bother people in Wisconsin to hear me say this, but I respect the way that he carried himself off the court.
I do too. I felt the exact same way last night when I saw what he said. If he said anything other than what he said at his post-game presser last night, I wouldn't have believed the word he said. But what he said last night was absolutely nail on the head. Absolutely correct. Now, Coach Carlisle talked about it. Halliburton talked about it. I'm sure other players were being asked about it.
Giannis talked about it.
I don't give a shit. If that is any other human being, we have a statement today, this morning, 8 a.m. That fan has been banned from all NBA arenas. If he is not fucking banned, I swear to God, that is what is wrong. You wonder why your ratings were dipping? It's not because of the debates or the presidential election. It's not because of any of that bullshit, which I heard them saying. That's not what it was. It's because you're putting out shit and you're allowing bull crap like this to happen.
Yeah.
That's trash. Get him out of here. I'm serious. Give him a lifetime ban, dude. That's what I would do. He needs to be reined in, bro.
And like I said, I don't love the way that Halliburton carries himself. Like, he likes to talk shit only when he's playing from ahead, as do the entire Pacers.
Yeah.
But none of them have taken it outside the rectangle.
I can't disagree with that, honestly.
So it's as much of, a rivalry as this has become over the last 2 years. I mean, I can't really say that there's any ill will, except for some of the Pacers fans who were saying that Dame deserved to have his Achilles torn and shit like that. That's never. Yeah. I don't care what you are feeling when you talk about rivalry. There's nothing that says, I'd be happy if Halliburton tore his Achilles, or if Nembhard tore his Achilles, or if Mathurin tore his ACL, even though Mathurin was being a douche.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't wish a torn Achilles on somebody.
See, and
you want to beat them while you're healthy. That's how competition works.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is Brad said my ticket says the same as theirs. That's fair. And again, if, like Jake said, if this is anybody other than Halliburton's dad, they're getting tackled. They're not making it to the 3-point line 10 feet away from Giannis and then on the sideline in his face.
And okay, so a few things I got
right.
added.
James
Brad,
right.
You're absolutely correct. And what else do they go over before every single game? And where is it plastered all over the arena? The fan code of conduct. What is Tyrese Halliburton's dad? A fan.
Yeah.
Yes, he is a more well-known fan. That does not change the fact of the word fan. You are a fan. You are supposed to act a certain way.
And I would argue
the same standard.
I would argue that, understandably, he's the parent of a player, which makes you their, number one fan.
Yeah.
But I would argue that you have a higher standard.
Oh,
you should be leading by example.
I was just going to say that.
Like, Halliburton's dad shouldn't be getting in Giannis's face. He should be telling Pacers fans, respect your opponents.
Yeah.
That's seriously, that's such a thing where we're in this world of not respecting people.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes ago I was just calling people having weak mindsets, but that's not a disrespectful thing that I'm saying.
No, it's not.
At least I don't think it is.
No,
And
it's not.
again, it's your right to be offended by that, but it's not coming from a place of disrespect.
Yeah.
The way that Halliburton's dad was standing out there and saying stuff to Giannis and swearing at him and stuff like that, and Giannis talked about it in the post game, that's disrespectful.
I'm going to respond to Brad here. He said, "What's crazy? He's been around games for years. He should know the rules." I was reading a lot of stuff online over the last 24 hours, and there's a lot of people that I live in the Fox Cities area, so I'm friends with a lot of people from the Oshkosh area, and they were all saying like, "Dude, you guys, you think that's bad? You should have seen him at AAU games. You should have seen him, because he used to ref, middle school and high school games. He thought he was the show, and you know what? I absolutely believe that.
He's
that's a pretty good one, Andrew.
He's got a reputation of it.
I got to respond to two comments here. Justin said should have went Ron Artest on his ass, and James said obviously Giannis wouldn't do it, but if he retaliated, he'd be held to a different standard. That is the exact reason why they put in fan code of conduct, so we don't get another Malice at the Palace, who, by the way, involved the Pacers, if you didn't know.
Yep.
So they obviously have a history of being, like Tyler said, some douchebags. It's just it's really unfortunate, really. But this kind of action couldn't happen to a person that didn't deserve it. Like, Giannis doesn't deserve it. He doesn't carry himself that way.
Nope.
And maybe when he's on the court, like you said about the Pacers, they're keeping it between the rectangle. Maybe on the court, Giannis is like, I'm whooping your ass. I'm whooping your ass. You know what? He is.
Yeah. And
the guy just had 30, 20, and 15.
He said after the game that I love Tyrese Halliburton. He loved that he talked shit during the games. Like, that's competition.
Oh, Brad, he would have been sleeping.
Yeah, Draymond, yeah. But that's the thing, is like you're doing it to Giannis because you know that he's not going to do something to you.
No.
I guarantee he wouldn't do it to Draymond, because you never know what Draymond's going to do. He wouldn't.
I don't know if he would have put that towel down, bro.
You wouldn't do it to Dylan Brooks. Bet he wouldn't.
No.
Wouldn't do it to John Morant. Bet he wouldn't.
I'll tell you what. He shouldn't get the opportunity to do it again, because he shouldn't be allowed at any NBA games. I am so serious.
I would say at the very least he's not going to be allowed into Fiserv.
Unbelievable that we're having this conversation.
It really is. And the thing is we've spent longer talking about this than we did about Game 5.
That's sad. Nobody's going to talk about how Tyrese Halliburton made a nice drive and finished the layup for them to win. Nobody's going to talk about that.
Tyrese Halliburton being a game winner, but here we are talking about his dad being a dumbass.
And how sad is that for Tyrese, honestly?
It really is. He's what, 26?
Yeah.
And he's more intelligent emotionally than his dad?
That's sad.
It really is. And yes, James, it's not a direct comparison to Malice in the Palace. Somebody brought up Ron Artest. That's why it was brought up.
Yes.
But again, you're talking about fan conduct. That's just an example. It just happened to be also the Pacers.
Yeah.
So and again, if you were not a Bucks or Pacers fans, you'd be like, holy shit, that was an amazing basketball game.
Yeah.
And that's not what anybody's talking about. The two things that people are talking about is Tyrese Halliburton's dad and Giannis should be gotten out of Milwaukee.
Yep.
Nobody's talking about the basketball game, which was a great basketball game.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah, we came out on the losing side of it. Had some mistakes. Gary Trent Jr. went nuclear in the fourth quarter and overtime, and it wasn't enough because a couple turnovers. And the Pacers made shots.
Yep.
Lots of guys talk shit and don't fight after the games. Because players, you notice how none of the players were involved in this. Players keep it inside the lines. And that's why I felt the need to bring that up about the Pacers. They kept it inside the lines.
Dude, look at the NFL. Like, they literally assault each other for 3 hours every Sunday for 18 straight weeks.
Yeah.
And they don't fight each other. They're all dap each other. Hey, good game, bro. Good game, bro.
Yep.
Win or lose. Good game, bro. Nice to see you. Hey, how's the family doing?
Yep.
Fans could learn something from this.
They really could. Really could. And that's why, we believe this as well, that we've talked about the advantages of people, obviously. But when people come to Lambeau Field, visiting fans, they love it here.
Yeah.
because the people are nice.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was like that everywhere. I will never attend a game in Philadelphia.
Never.
I would never attend a game in LA.
Dude, I'm I'm such a bullish person. I almost want to go to Philadelphia just to prove me to do it.
I've attended a hockey game in Chicago, but I don't think I would go to a basketball or baseball game. Maybe a football game, but I don't know that I'd go to a football game in Chicago either.
I think Chicago hates the Packers more than they hate the Brewers. So baseball is fine. They definitely hate the Packers more than they hate the Bucks. So I think basketball is fine. But Packers game on the road, that's like top 5 on my bucket list. I gotta do it one time. I gotta do it.
Yeah, Justin said he wouldn't have said it to Puka Nakua's brother. That's insane too. Like that's where we're at. James, I would love to go to a game in Nashville.
Yeah, I'd go to a game in Nashville. The Packers are going to whoop that ass for the next couple of years. So hell yeah.
Well, I mean, he's talking about. I went to a Predators game in Chicago.
You're hockey. Okay. Hockey. Yeah. I got you.
I would love to go to a Predators game. I would have loved to do it when they were contenders, but that's the thing. It's a reputational thing, and now, again, it sucks for Tyrese Halliburton because nobody's talking about his game winner. You look up Tyrese Halliburton, it's not the game winner popping up.
Yeah, it's going to be his dad.
It's going to be his dad. So we've kind of mentioned this a couple times already, but we are going to have a thorough off-season coverage plan. We're going to start planning it probably after the show ends. And we want to make sure that people understand that it's not time for the Bucks to trade Giannis because they have no picks and they have no money, because it's not the case. We talked about this right after the trade deadline. Jake and I were talking about it again before the show, that the Bucks didn't just trade Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma because they thought Kyle Kuzma was better than Chris Middleton. That's not why that trade was made.
Yeah.
That trade was made to get them under the second apron, which gives them a lot more flexibility this summer. I said it at the time that the Bucks didn't go fully all in on this season. They went like a soft all in and opened up flexibility to go more heavily all in next season. So, there's a lot of pieces in my mind that are going to be moving this summer.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through the financials of it, potential transactions, keep, cut, all of that. Connor said people who said Giannis want traded. I have no idea what Bucks like was before him. And that's the thing, is like people saying that, like, you don't know the 15-win Bucks.
Do you remember when we traded for Bobby Simmons, bro? That was a big move for the Bucks at one point in time. Bobby fucking Simmons, dude. Do not tell me I don't know Bucks basketball. I'm gonna tell you right now. The two people on your screen, we know Bucks basketball. We've been here.
Yeah.
We are been around our dads who know more Bucks basketball than 99% of these kids that talk on the internet.
Oh man, I believe that there's a large contingent of Bucks fans that became Bucks fans in 2019.
Oh, I 100% agree
when
with
they were in
that.
the Eastern Conference Finals.
I agree. Hey.
And you said he's been through the dark ages of the Blue Edwards era. That predates us. But like, we remember when the Bucks were drafting Joe Alexander and EGN Lien in the top 10.
Dude, Vanilla Sky, boy. Vanilla Sky. Let's go.
But like, the days of signing Ruben Patterson and Richard Jefferson and Corey Maggette.
Fucking Luke Ridnour, bro. Like, what
dude,
are we doing?
We've been through eras of having sucky teams.
Yeah.
With the hopes of contending someday, to want to be in a spot to contend and be like, nah, I'd rather not. Andrew said I have a Yee poster at home still. Probably the only one in existence, to be honest with you.
You got to be the only person that's still has a Yee poster, dude.
I mean, I've pulled out the 2012 schedule before. Like, I got the Jim Paschke and John McLaughlin bobblehead up there. And Connor said it. I get playoff losses are tough and hurt, but man, some Wisconsin fans don't realize how spoiled we are with our sports teams, and that's it. That is it. But dude, I said it before, Connor. I don't know if you were here for it, but higher stakes, higher emotional stakes. It requires higher emotional intelligence. You can't take the hurt of a loss and go to the exact opposite and be like, I want to do the most drastic thing to not have to see this again.
Yeah. Dude, I gotta say this about Luke Ridnour. I have this memory that's just like imprinted in my brain. I remember going to a game, and it was still at the Bradley Center, obviously. And every time he would score, they would play that stupid ass duck noise because he went to Oregon, and he had like freaking like 24 points that game. And I'm like, oh God, can he just stop scoring so I have to stop hearing these goddamn ducks? And then when Ruben Patterson would score, I'd be ballin'.
Yeah,
we fly high.
yeah,
Dude, we had a 6'6" power forward at one time before it was cool.
yeah. I remember walking around at the Bradley Center.
Yeah,
I remember the Bradley Center.
good times.
James said it's irrelevant, but the most exciting team in Preds history was making the Stanley Cup. Dude, those playoff games were so fun to watch. So fun. All right. Like I said, we're going to be talking more about the Bucks. We'll probably give it a couple weeks, but we're going to be at it in May because at the end of June is when free agency opens.
Yeah.
So we're going to be at it, and we're going to be, like I said, I want to be very thorough. I want to be big, and I want to go through everything. And then I also want to give potential assemblies for the team and the staff.
I like it. Hey, it's going to be a good time. Again, we're not happy that the Bucks lost, but there's going to be a next season, and we're going to give you guys the best, most logical look at what next season could look like from our brains. And I do think that we know ball. Come join the conversation. This comment section is going crazy right now, so I appreciate it from everybody. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is going to be a good conversation piece for us. Talk about the Bucks offseason plans.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, the fact that they've extended John Horst tells me that they're going to keep going for it.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. So we're going to switch now. We're going to pivot to a much earlier point in a season. We're going to switch to the Brewers and talk about baseball. So it's going to get a little lighter in here.
Yeah.
Even though we got to start with some baseball games, the Brewers lost, being game 3 against the Giants last week. And Freddie Peralta, this was his last start. So we'll get to last Freddie Peralta start and then last night, which was his last one. Wes said we got one more in us. I think they got like 4 more in them. Probably three at least. But Damian Lillard's play style, it translates to somebody who could play into their mid to late 30s.
I agree. Especially going back from injury. He's not a guy that plays above the rim anyway, so.
Right. So, Freddie Peralta, not his best outing, only had 9 whiffs. He had 16 his previous outing. He threw, I tracked this. He threw 18 pitches after allowing a 2-out base runner.
Ooh.
So there was, I think it was 4 or 5 instances at bats. I erased it because after I got the total, I erased it. But it was either 4 or 5 instances of allowing a 2-out base runner, and then he had to face another batter that put 18 extra pitches on his pitch count. So he only ended up throwing 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 3 earned runs. 2 of those hits and 1 of the walks came in the 6th inning before he was taken out of the game. But just not his sharpest outing. It happens. Freddie's human. Thank you, Andrew. Other than that, Jackson Chourio swinging a lot. That man has never seen a pitch that he did not want to swing at.
That man's hungry up there.
He's young. He's aggressive. I get it. But yeah, he has, Justin, welcome. He has not ever seen a pitch that he did not want to swing at. That kid wants to swing at every single pitch he sees. So I looked it up. I looked at his chase percentage as of the 26th, which was Sunday.
Yep.
No, Saturday. As of Saturday, his chase percentage was 43.6%. That means he's swinging at almost 44% of pitches outside the zone. It's a little bit higher than it was last year. But again, I think that part of that stems from the fact that he was raking in spring training. He was batting like 500 in spring training, so the baseball has to look like a beach ball to him.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is he's just swinging more in general.
Yeah.
His zone swing percentage was 66 last season. This year, it's 73.7. So he's swinging about 1% more at pitches outside of the zone and almost 8% more at pitches inside the zone.
Okay.
So I'm going to allow it. Connor said, I've seen people comparing to Baez. I don't totally agree, although Baez has improved his plate discipline. He had to, otherwise he was going to be out of the league.
Yeah.
Because that dude swings at horrible stuff. The thing is, Jackson Chourio still has a decent batting average, batting profile. Like, he's on pace right now for like 160 RBI this season. So if Chourio was batting like 200, I'd be a little more concerned. But, like I said, his zone swing percentage is up almost 8% versus his chase percentage being up by about 1. I'm okay with it.
I agree.
It's tough to see in the 6th inning, a couple more errors, allowing a couple more runs. Like I said, if the Brewers are in a position where their defense isn't its sharpest and their bullpen's not its sharpest, if they can still win those games, that's going to be the next level for them. I'm still in the same spot as I was last week and the week before.
Yep.
Brian Hudson did pitch in this game. He pitched a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th. He pitched back-to-back days before being sent down. They just need to get him to get his command back. That's what they're looking at with Brian Hudson. And again, people are still doing why isn't Yoel Payamps being sent down? He doesn't have options. And people saying like, oh, Yoel Payamps must have something against this organization because they won't cut him. They're not cutting a dude who had a 3.05 ERA last year in April.
Especially when they've had as many starting pitchers as they've had to use already, and they could use a stable bullpen.
Yeah. It's really, and I have the numbers through last night because he pitched last night, how volatile ERA numbers are early in the season, especially for relievers. So, game 3 from the Giants, anything you want to say on that game?
Honestly, you covered most of it, but I just want to give credit to I'm blanking on his name, but Webb, pitcher from the Giants, first name, remind me. Logan Webb. God damn it, I can't believe that. Lost my mind.
Cy Young winner, yep.
Yeah, I write down last names, bro. I don't do first names. But Webb is a very good pitcher. Key moment for me in this game was he had 7 pitches in the 3rd inning, which allowed him to go deeper in this game. He threw all sweepers in that inning. I had to look that up myself.
Nice.
Looking at the play-by-plays here, and I was like, oof, that could be a reason why he went deeper in this game. I didn't get to watch this game live. I was attending the NFL draft in Green Bay, so it is what it is. Also, he did have to work through a bunch of traffic in the first couple innings of this game. Brewers were getting on base early. He did a nice job kind of managing that traffic, and then he shut us down for a few innings, and that's kind of the name of this game. Peralta and Webb were kind of going at it. They showed a graphic during this game about most strikeouts in the NL since I believe it was 2021, and Peralta and Webb were both on that graphic. I believe Webb was 5th and Peralta was 2nd. So you're getting 2 of the better NL pitchers over the last couple of years. And they both battled, and the Giants just ended up inching across a couple more runs. I mean, that's just baseball, dude. I mean, you play so many games, dude.
To your point, from the last batter of the 2nd inning to the first batter of the 6th inning, Webb retired 11 straight.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wrote down that the Brewers, attacked Webb early. They were having some success. He did a nice job managing traffic. And after that, he kind of just figured us out and he shut us down for a little bit. He's a good pitcher. You give him credit.
Yep. Yeah, that guy's a dude, Yeah. All right, game 4. Let's go to from the final game of that series.
Oh, man, this one kind of hurt, in my opinion. So Myers was back. So welcome back, Tobias Myers. He pitched 4 innings, had 4 hits, 2 earned runs, and 2 Ks. Did have a couple walks too. Command, you could tell he first start of the season. I don't know I don't know if people are expecting him to go 9 innings.
He was having a hard time finding the strike zone too. He threw 82 pitches. He had 47 strikes and 35 balls.
Yeah,
that's a lot of balls.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like first start of the season. I don't know what people were expecting, but I mean, he was gonna struggle a little bit. He gave us 4 innings, so I mean, can't really complain too much.
That's honestly what I would have been targeting. Honestly,
yeah. Now talking about Uribe, because he did give up a homer that gave life to the Giants in this one. In the 5th inning, obviously, because Myers only pitched 4 innings. Can't really fault Uribe, dude. He threw a pitch 100.8 miles per hour. I mean, he did miss a little bit. He missed up. But Chapman is a good hitter, too.
Yeah, he is.
Chapman's a good player. He's a former Silver Slugger. He's a Gold Glover. I mean, he's a guy that, he can, and he hit it to dead center. So, I mean, he didn't miss this one. That is the fastest pitch that a San Francisco Giant has hit a homer on since 2008.
Yeah. And the thing that I would say, not necessarily like to disagree with you, that like not that specific pitch being in a bad spot. To me, it was that he wasn't really finding the strike zone either. His first 8 pitches, he only threw 2 strikes. The second hit that he gave up was the home run, and then he was ahead 0-2 to the third batter, which ended up becoming a 10-pitch walk. So that, to me, it's not necessarily that he gave a bad pitch on the one that was hit for a home run. It's just that he needs to put himself ahead in counts. Like the biggest difference that you will hear commentators, you will hear players, coaches, analysts, everybody will talk about is 1-1. That's the most important pitch, because the difference between 2-1 and 1-2 is so different as far as the pitcher.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So it just needs to be Uribe putting himself in better spots.
Yeah, he needs to be a little bit more advantageous. I agree. But in terms of, I mean, the Brewers had 9 hits in this one, so it wasn't a matter of not getting hits. 8 different players got the hits. Now, you brought up something last week about, consecutive hits. They did that a few times. Yelly, Haas, and Frelick all had RBIs, but going 1 for 9 runners in scoring position in a game that you lose by 1. We're going to get to the conversation about Tyler Alexander here. I'm going to hand it off to you first before we get into this conversation, Buzz. So go ahead.
Connor said not a Brewers comment, but want to give love to the Mudcats, who are one of the most exciting or most fun to watch minor league teams.
That's kind of a Brewers comment. Yeah, we're thinking the same. It's kind of a Brewers comment.
Yeah, it's Brewers minor leagues. Jesus Mate had a walk-off single today, so that's cool. As far as the last game against the Giants series, William Contreras had the day off. He got kind of banged up at a play at third base the night before and literally got hit in the cup, had his cup fractured by Willie Adames the day before, so they gave him a day off for having a close call to the family jewels. But so that's why he was given a day off. It's good that he wasn't injured. Sal had a single in the first inning that extended his on-base streak to 20 games, which is insane. I don't think people are talking about how good Sal Frelick has been just because he doesn't hit home runs.
Yeah, we're talking about it.
We are talking about it. You mentioned the Brewers having 9 hits. We've talked about this too, having to stack traffic.
Yeah.
The Brewers had the leadoff man on base in 6 out of the 9 innings. And the 5 runs that they scored all came in 3. So it's still, you still need to stack traffic. And Pat Murphy's going to continue playing around with the lineup, and people are going to continue complaining about it. But Pat Murphy's going to continue playing around with it, trying to find the best formula that makes it so they can stack traffic.
Yeah.
We just talked about it in the third game of the series, Webb being able to retire 11 in a row. You got to be able to break it up, and you got to be able to get multiple guys on base. That's how the Brewers can create havoc. Because at one point, the Brewers catcher, laid down a squeeze bunt so good that it forced a bad throw and 2 runs scored. Eric Haas is out here dropping squeeze bunts that force errors and let the Brewers bring in runs.
Yeah.
The Brewers, they live to create chaos on the bases, and it's fun to watch. And I have 4 points on it when we get to last night's game.
I mean, Yelly was literally just on Barstool with Sal Frelick, and they asked him a question about, does everybody have the green light to steal? And he said, yeah. He said, we literally, we don't talk about it. Literally, everybody can just steal. We just literally come into the game trying to fuck shit up. He literally said that, word for word. And I was just like, dude, I fucking love that, dude. I love that so much.
Connor said he wants to go to Tim Ratler's game when Mate gets called up. I want to say it's going to happen by the end of this year, but he's so young that it's hard to say.
Yeah, I wish he was going to be there on Saturday. I'm going to be there for Bluey Day.
Nice. So, again, we talked about the bullpen and the defense struggling late in the game. Like I said, winning in those scenarios is what's going to take the Brewers to the next level. I do think Tyler Alexander was an odd choice. You can't use Trevor McGill every single day.
Yeah.
And obviously Payams has had his struggles. It is what it is. Koenig has been pretty good. He pitched the 6th inning.
Yep.
Nick Mears pitched the 7th.
Yep.
We need other guys. We need guys to step up. Abner Uribe pitched the 5th. He did okay. But if this bullpen's going to go to the next level, we need Abner Uribe to be at his best. I mentioned last week my scenario to quote unquote fixing Pyomps would be to put Nick Mears as the 8th inning role as the setup guy.
Mhm.
Craig Yoho is in the fold now. So, I don't know that, like I said, I don't know that Tyler Alexander's in the long-term plans of this team.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to have somebody else because they're going to St. Louis right after this.
Yep.
So my biggest thing, it's not even so much as the bullpen management. It's you have to be able to tack on runs. We keep talking about stacking traffic, but top of the 5th inning, they have 2 leadoff walks and then a fielder's choice and a ground into a double play. You get 2 guys on to start the inning. You got to be able to tack on runs in those situations.
Yep.
And again, I'm not going to sit here and like dog the team and say they suck with guys on base. Like that's obviously not the case because we've seen them score in the teens like 4 times already this year.
Yeah.
So it's just when they lose close games, you look at those scenarios, and I'm positive that the team is saying the same thing to each other. Like you got to be able to tack on runs when you get guys on base. It's not a secret. It's not a disrespectful thing to say that they need to tack on runs in those situations.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about the Giants series?
Giants, after this game, they moved to 15-2 versus right-handed pitchers. It's pretty good.
All right. Better hope they don't face a bunch of lefties in the playoffs. The Cardinals series. So this is a series where, like I said, we are typically bad news first guys, so we get to get the bad ones out of the way first. So Cardinals game 1, Chad Patrick had a good first 4 innings, gave up 4 straight hits to start the 5th between Patrick and Tyler Alexander, who, like I said, is going to be a candidate to send down. Pretty much as soon as they have somebody else healthy, which Woodruff. Ashby, and who else am I forgetting? DL Hall are going to be factors in May. They might not all be back in May, but we're going to be hearing that they're getting close in May.
Well, Woodruff's
going to be back for sure. He might be back like next week. But
yeah, I agree.
Tyler Alexander will be a guy to be a candidate to be sent down. His last 2 outings, he pitched an inning in the 3rd, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, a walk, no strikeouts, and his ERA went from 3.66 to 4.71 in an inning and a 3rd.
Yeah.
Again, the Brewers had traffic. Their best chance to win was in the 7th inning. They had the bases loaded with no outs. They only got 1 run. It's April, but you have to be able to capitalize on those situations. The 8th inning, they had 2 guys on. They had a fielder's choice and a strikeout. Only 2 base runners in the first 5 innings, 1 in the 1st and 1 in the 2nd. No base runners in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. They were retired in order for those 3 innings. I will say, in the good news department, the Brewers did only strike out 5 times in game 1 against the Cardinals. That's pretty low. Anything under like 8 to 10 is usually kind of the major league average. So if they're under that number, that's good to me. And then Craig Yoho, I think his command looked pretty good. He threw 5 sweepers, only really missed with 1. Same with his 4-seam fastball. He really only missed with 1 out of the 10 that he threw, and his changeup looked good. So it's good to see Yoho finding his command well in the majors. So what did you take away from game 1 against the Cardinals?
Yeah, I wrote down the same thing about the hits. Only 2 hits in the first 5 innings. Yelly had a single in the 1st, and Hoskins had a single in the 2nd. That's that was the offense for the first half of this game. They did break through. Yelly ended up getting an RBI, and Bowers got an RBI. I hate when I have to do this, but when incredible stuff happens, I have to give it credit. Arenado's throw out Churio was amazing.
Dude, that wasn't even his best defensive thing in this series because game 2
I know.
Arenado's too.
I know, but on a normal day, the third baseman, especially off a chopper like that, and I know that Sal Frelick's fast and he's left-handed, so he already has a little bit of a head start. You try to turn a double play.
Yeah.
For him in the middle of that to be able to adjust, and Jackson Churrio's not exactly slow.
No.
To be able to throw out Jackson Churrio at home, that was I watched that like 3 times.
He's got what, like 10 Gold Gloves?
Something like that, dude.
I legit think he's got 10.
Arenado is a Hall of Famer. That guy is amazing. He's having a really good year for the Cardinals too. So I mean, I was like, God damn it. And that became the story of the game because that happened in the 8th inning, right? Is that 8th inning? Did that happen? Or 7th inning? Was that 8th inning?
Yeah, because he started with a single that inning. Nolan Arenado does have 10 Gold Glove. He's got 6 Platinum Gloves.
That's fucking crazy.
We talk highly of Bryce Terang's defense. He's got 1 of each.
Yeah.
Arenado's got 6 Platinum and 10 Gold.
Jeepers creepers, dude. I feel like the Rockies are getting karma ever since they traded him.
Dude, the Rockies went on a generational run of trading left-sided infielders that went to be good elsewhere.
Right.
Like, they had 3 in a row, just stud shortstop / third baseman.
Yeah, Tulowitzki,
Trevor Story, and Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
And they're nah, go ahead.
We don't like good things over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, you covered pretty much everything else. I wrote down about Yoho looking a little bit better. I wrote down about Patrick having the wheels fall off after the 4th inning.
Yeah. So game 2 of the Cardinals series, honestly, it doesn't even bother me so much that they lost this game as some of the things that happened during it. So this was the one that Trevor McGill gave up a 1-out solo home run to Nolan Arenado to have a walk-off for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm going to say is Jackson Chourio in the top of the 9th inning hit a 1-out home run with a guy on base to tie the game at 5.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the Brewers lost this game does not make that not a clutch play.
Can I add on to that real quick?
Sure.
He hit that off a guy who had 49 goddamn saves last year.
Yeah, Ryan Helsley's one of the best in the game.
Yeah, he's pretty good. So for Jackson Chourio and people who are dogging him for not walking, for him to go up in that moment and swing and hit that home run to tie the game was amazing against that guy on the road. I mean, that is why people talk so highly about Jackson Chourio. So I wanted to point that out too.
Yep. Yeah. The fact that they lost does not diminish the clutch because in the top of the 9th inning, you don't know what's going to happen in the bottom of the 9th.
Yep.
So in the present of that moment, that was an insanely clutch play.
Yeah,
for Chourio to hit that home run. So I wanted to start with that.
Yep.
Now, Quinn Priester, not his sharpest outing, but it was helpful that he was able to get through 5 innings.
Yeah.
I do give him credit for that. Yoel Payamps, he pitched 2 innings, 6 up.
Yeah.
6 down.
That was one of my main takeaways.
Yeah. And honestly, the McGill thing, he tried the outside corner, inside corner. That's what he was trying to do. I see it. Like, I respect it. It's a tactic. You try to go outside. You try to change where the batter's strike zone is visually. Mm-hmm. And Arenado just turned on it and pulled it right inside the foul pole. Arenado's done that before. Hard throws create hard contact.
Yeah.
We've seen it with plenty of our closers over the years.
I mean, Arenado's also a former Silver Slugger. I mean, this guy is good on all.
He's got five Silver Sluggers.
He's a good baseball player. He's a Hall of Famer.
He's also finished top 10 in MVP 6 times.
He's good.
He's insane. He really is. Ugh. I hate the Cardinals because they got Arenado and Goldschmidt together on the same team. The fact that those two didn't win a championship should be studied.
I agree. And they still have Wainwright.
And that's the thing is, like, Arenado was nuts on defense in this game too.
Yeah.
Dude is everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I respect the hell out of Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
Now, got to talk about something because Pat Murphy took out Caleb Durbin and Sal Frelick in this game because of what he called sloppy mistakes. One being Caleb Durbin getting picked off, and the second being Sal missing a cutoff throw. That, to me, was just sending a message to the young guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, hey, I love you guys, but we're not screwing around here.
Yeah.
So I like that. You know, you've talked about it before, that Murphy's a good balance of old school and new school, and I think that's one of those things that shows it. Michael said, go Brewers. When we get our pitching staff off of IR and in-season form, we'll go on a roll. The energy in our defense and pressure on base paths, I love it. And that's what we've said a bunch of times. If you get through April at 500, here we are on April 30th at 15-15.
They have a chance to be over 500 in April, so I love that.
Yeah, they treaded the water. That's really all we were asking for when waiting for guys to get healthy. So Brewers had a shot in the top of the fourth. They had second and third with 2 outs. Rhys Hoskins had a hard liner, 100.5 miles an hour off the bat, and that gets by some guys not named Nolan Arenado.
God damn guy.
Top of the fifth inning, Jake Bauers got robbed by a diving catch. That inning could have started with 3 straight doubles instead of an out and 2 doubles. That inning probably should have been 3 runs if not for the pickoff, and it could have been 4 if not for good defense by St. Louis. The thing that bothered me the most about this game is that Jackson Chourio, on a ground ball by Bryce Terang, gets called out for a ball hitting in the hand. He gets hit in the hand while his back is to the ball, running inside of the base path. He establishes line. And in my mind, he's running like on the grass on the inside of the baseline because he's expecting the throw to come directly like point A, point B in between first base and second base. And he gets called out for sliding like this as the throw is coming. But a year ago at this time, Aaron Judge slides directly into second base, staring at the baseball with his hand in the air. It hits him in the hand, and nothing happens.
And he's 6'7".
And he's staring at the ball. Jackson Chourio gets called out for the ball hitting him in the hand while it's behind him, but Aaron Judge can slide directly to where the throw is coming from. It hits his big-ass oven mitt, and nothing happens, and the Yankees score 7 runs. What the fuck, Major League Baseball? Your turn.
So, I was going to write down the first thing I wrote. I view Arenado like I view Al Horford. I can't wait for these mother effers to freaking retire, dude. Al Horford kills the Bucks. Can't wait for that son of a bitch to freaking retire. And then Arenado, that goddamn guy, kills the Brewers. He kills everybody. I cannot wait for both of them to retire so I don't have to freaking hear their name. I don't need to see crazy defensive plays. And like you said, you respect Arenado. I respect Arenado, and I respect Horford. They both been doing it for a long time. They're both good. They're just consistent, dude. They're pros, dude. And I'm just like, dog, I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Nolan Arenado doing shit against the Brewers. Like, god damn it, dude.
I'm sure there's other teams that feel the same way.
I'm blanking. Who's the guy in 2018 that just joined the Dodgers that was on the Cardinals? Freeze.
Oh, David Freese.
Dude, I used to hate that guy too, man. He used to kill the Brewers all the time, dude. And now they have a new Cardinal that freaking kills us. But I wrote down that Priester may be losing his touch a little bit. Maybe time to I don't know how many options he has. I should have looked into this before writing this down, but maybe time to send him down, give him a little bit of coaching.
I mean,
we talked about putting him in the lab, right?
Right.
And part of going in the lab is like going down there and like, I know this is going to be nerdy of me to say in front of people who are going to watch this, but like, I always view the Brewers pitching lab as like this view from like Dragon Ball Z where Goku is like regenerate. Dude, I'm serious. Like Goku is like trying to regenerate energy and he's like in this like big tube and he's getting stronger and shit. And like, I always view like the Brewers pitching lab as like that, dude. So like put Priester down there, coach him up a little bit, get him some command, maybe look at some more numbers and see what pitches he throws better for pitches, for strikes against certain batters, certain situations. And like, let's see if we can, reestablish this as they send him back up,
So I have 2 sticking points with that. Firstly, they traded for him because they needed depth at the major league level.
I know.
That's the first part of it. And the second part of it is, to me, he's had 2 good outings and 1 okay outing.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, this wasn't his best outing. He gave up 5 runs in the 5 innings that he pitched. But, it's in my mind, if we're looking at it so far, it's 1 bad game. Now, if his next outing is the same, then maybe we have a conversation. If you swap Priester for Woodruff, a conversation like that. But in my mind, he had 2 really good games and 1 not so good game. So if his next outing is, 5 or 6 innings and a couple earned runs, he's fine.
Okay, that's fair. And my other major point, well, I have 2. I wrote outside the home run, Jackson Chourio had a great day, 4 or 5 from the at the plate, 1 run, 3 RBI, and obviously the clutch homer that we talked about. I wrote down that he hit it off a guy that had 49 saves last year. So, I mean, impressive nonetheless.
Call.
No matter what angle you look at it, it was a great at-bat and a great hit.
Yep.
And I wanted to really hit home on the Joel Payamps thing because even though the Brewers lost, and I know it's harder for people that are mentally immature, emotionally immature, 2 innings when the Brewers needed it, he put them up and he shut them down, dude. 0 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 Ks. I mean, he saved the bullpen, honestly, on this day and gave the Brewers a chance to win this game when it was 5-5 after Chourio. He gave them a chance to tie it, first of all, and then a chance to win it when you're allowed to tie it. So, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen in the bottom of the ninth. So I really wanted to give Joel Payamps his flowers that he deserved on this day.
Yeah, and as we go into game 3, similarly, like Quintana, he had multiple batters that he was ahead in game 3, 0-2, 1-2, that got back to 3-2. That cost him 66 pitches in the first 3 innings. But he had 6 strikeouts in 5 innings pitched. All of them were looking, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go and look at the pitches that he was throwing, that dude was painting with his sinker. Jose Quintana might be 35 years old and he's not blowing anybody away with his pitch velocity, but man, that dude can hit corners and edges.
He's a freaking stud, dude.
That dude has been around the block and he knows how to find the edges of the strike zone.
Bro, he runs the damn block.
He gets 6 looking strikeouts is insane to me.
Yeah.
No swinging strikeouts. Just looking. You walk in, somebody asks you if they can help you find anything. Nope, just looking. That was the Cardinals in game 3.
That was good, dude. That was fucking good. Nicely done.
After that, Grant Anderson came in throwing strikes. He had a 6-pitch, 1-2-3, 6th inning.
Yeah.
The Cards were not letting that happen in the 7th inning. They took the first 5 pitches of the inning all for balls. And then with 2 on and 1 out, Murphy brought in Nick Mears. And in my notes, I wrote that he was not fucking around. That's why he brought in Nick Mears.
Yeah.
Mears came in. He finished the 7th and pitched the 8th. He gave up a single and a walk in the 8th and then had 1, 2, 3 after that. And Koenig finished the 9th, gave up a walk, then got ground into a double play and a ground out. And just in general, for the Brewers staff, I'd like to see them have fewer walks. Just it's not like a thing that I'm viewing as a problem. It's just something that I would like to see them clean up. Now, defensively, Joey Ortiz saved a run in the first inning with his defense. He had a web gem behind second base that he popped up and then threw a laser to first base. I don't remember who that was. I think it was Mason Wynn, actually. Actually, it might have been Arenado, now that I'm thinking about it. This was the first inning 3 days ago, so I don't really remember exactly. But Joey Ortiz saved a run with a web gem in the first inning. And then the Brewers, we spent a whole bunch of time talking about stacking traffic. They put up multiple runs twice in the first 4 innings. The top of the 4th, the 7, 8, 9 hitters went single, double, single to start a rally. That goes a long way. All 3 of them scored. Every batter in the lineup had a hit on Sunday. This was a much better look for the Brewers, and obviously winning 7-0 feels good against a division rival.
Yeah, it was Arenado in the first inning, by the way. I just looked it up. Again, Quintana, he tied CC Sabathia's Brewers record, winning his first 4 games with the Brewers. So congrats to him. Quintana's been nothing but phenomenal since coming over here. He has been the one steady hand. If you were going to say there's a steady hand, I mean, Freddie Peralta's been pretty good this year as well, in my opinion, but Quintana has been steady. I believe now he's up to 3 road wins, which the Brewers only have like 5 on the year now total after last night as well. I believe Tyler,
6 now.
They might have 6 now, but he has at least 3 of them. I know that for sure. Everyone who played got a hit. 6 of the 9 people who bat got an RBI, and like you said, they started the game on fire. 3 hits, 3 runs in the first. Terang got a walk. Yelly got a walk. Contreras got a single. He 2 sinkers. The second one he didn't miss. Terang got on base. Frelick singled. Yelly scored, and Hoskins singled. and scored Contreras. Hoskins had a really nice at bat there. He took a cutter away and slapped it in the right. He didn't try to pull it. He just took it wherever it was going and got an RBI out of it. So Brewers started out hot. Gave Jose Quintana a nice 3-0 lead in the first inning. Then, like you said, in the fourth inning, they got 5 hits and 4 runs. The first 4 batters of the inning got hits. Collins got the party started on the first pitch, swinging, got right on base. So love to see the aggressive Brewers at the plate, making contact, getting on base. And then you can't cause the havoc running around unless you get on base, right? Them slapping the ball, playing contact baseball, getting on base. On the day, they went 6 for 17 runners in scoring position. We've talked about it forever. You're the one that started the train. The second number in that running for scoring position is the important number.
Yes.
Having 17 at-bats with pressure is the thing.
Yes.
And to get 6 hits in that scenario, people are going to be like, wow, it's only 6 hits with 17 at-bats. That's a 352 batting average.
I was going to say, that's like 340.
That's pretty good. I don't know if you watch baseball, but 6
Yeah.
of 17 would be like nuts.
Dude, I would take 6 of 17 with the bases empty. Like, you're talking like Luis Arias, Steven Kwan levels of batting average, but they're doing it with guys in scoring position.
And also that who's that new guy from San Francisco? That lefty.
Oh, it's I can't remember his middle name.
God damn it, I remember it.
It's
I don't remember
it's
either.
like Jim Hu Lee.
Dude, that son of a bitch is just up there to get on base. That's it, dude. He does a good job at it. Does a really good job at it.
He's cut from the same cloth as like Ichiro and Nori Aoki, guys like that.
Yeah. It is. I'm trying to get it up here. I think it is something. Yeah, it is. It is. You're correct. So good job.
Jim Hu Lee.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Hell yeah.
You're good. Yeah. So, like you said, it's always good to beat a division rival. Nice to get a division win on the road. Kind of gave the game before away, but a team that was on a 4-game winning streak to come out, attack the pitcher in the first inning, I think was the main takeaway I took away from this. They were like, listen, we're on a little bit of a slide. It's April. We're not going to stress too much. And, they dipped below 500 at that point. And to come back and get a big-time win, that was awesome, dude. I loved it.
Yeah. All right, so we can go to last night's game. And, yes, after last night, they are at 6 road wins. So Quintana has half of them.
Yeah, it's 3 out of 6, bro.
What stood out to you from last night's game?
Yeah, so we had our ace on the mound again, and Freddie gave us 6 innings, dude. And I don't know how many times I have to say it. If you give me 6, I feel pretty goddamn good about it. Yep. Freddie is obviously known for giving up solo shots, and he did give up 2 solo shots in the bottom of the first inning.
Yep.
But that was it. That literally was it. 3 hits, 2 of them in the first inning were home runs, and he had 5 Ks. I'm not going to complain about that start at all.
Yep.
He gave us a chance to win, only giving up 2 earned runs.
Yep.
Abner Uribe, good inning of work. Craig Yoho, love to see the zeros and the 1K next to his name. And Joel Payamps. Now, here's the thing about Joel Payamps. He's stacking good appearances.
You want to know the exact numbers on Payamps?
Give me them.
So his last, I think it's 5 appearances. Actually, I think it's 6 appearances. He's pitched 5 2/3 innings.
Okay.
His ERA at the beginning of those 5 2/3 was 19.06.
Okay.
Since those 5 2/3 inning, it's down to 10.64.
Damn.
So he's almost cut it in half.
Damn.
That is the volatility of early season reliever ERA.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, April, you're not cutting a guy who had a 3.05 ERA last year. And I think it was pretty good in 2023 as well. He's been good for the Brewers. People, like Jake said, you need to focus more on just remembering the bad stretches.
Yeah, that's really why, and I'm kind of following your lead here of, counting all these consecutive good outings, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to dog him when he has 2 bad outings in a row, I want to hear you talk good about him after he has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 good outings in a row.
Yes.
Not just say stupid shit like, that's what he's supposed to do. That's what he's paid to do. Well, guess what? The guy he's going against is paid to hit a goddamn ball.
Exactly.
And if he's doing it, if he's making that guy not do his job, then give him credit for doing that.
Right. And he had one appearance where he gave up 5 earned runs, which obviously is not good.
Right.
But his next 6 appearances, he gave up 1.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, obviously, and this is tough. This is the life of a reliever. People only talk about when you're not doing well, or when you're doing so well that you're going to be an all-star.
Yeah.
The total of relief pitchers who are just really, really good, nobody cares. It's unfortunate. That's just the reality of the position.
Yeah.
Also part of why the Brewers don't traditionally pay them.
They don't care individually, but they'll talk good about the unit is what
Exactly. Like I said, unless you're going to be an all-star, which is usually just reserved for closers.
It really is.
Which is weird to me, but there's something to be said for guys who come in the 7th inning with the bases loaded and 1 out and get out of it versus a guy who's starting the top of the 9th in a 4-2 game with the bases empty.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
That's why I like giving credit to relievers.
Yeah,
but
especially the middle relief.
That's like Jake said. If you're going to get on Payamps for having a bad July last year and a bad April this year, you have to at least be able to acknowledge that April and September last year, he was damn good.
Dude, what if he goes on a run? He doesn't give up a run till like August or some shit, dude. It's entirely possible with how dominant we've seen him be over stretches.
Dude, his slider is still really good.
Yeah.
Also, talking about good pitches, Freddie Peralta started this game with a curveball so nasty that the dude swung the bat out of his hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, Freddie gave up 3 hits in that inning, 2 of them being the solos, but the next 5 innings, he retired 9 straight, allowed just 2 base runners, and both of them were walks in the bottom of the 5th inning. And then in the 6th inning, he threw a 1-2-3 6th on 5 pitches.
Yeah.
So, again, like you said, if Freddie goes 6 innings and gives up 2 runs, I'm set. I believe the Brewers will win that game.
Agreed.
And we got Abner, Yoho, and Payamps to finish this one after those 6 innings. I mean, I have no complaints about that either. The White Sox, they used an opener for Bryce Wilson, who they said they were ramping up. So Bryce Wilson wasn't ready to be, starting and pitching 5 innings, so they used an opener for him. And he pitched pretty well against his former team, almost like he knows some of the guys around. But William Contreras, top of the 6th inning, has an opposite field single. That, to me, says that he's at his best. That's when he's at his best, is when he's using the opposite field. So I like to see that. Now, also in the top of the 6th inning, Sal Frelick gets thrown out at home plate. And there's 2 trains of thought with this. And the easy one is, oh my God, Sal's so dumb. Why would you run? You got thrown out. That's the easy one. But Bryce Harang was trying to leg out an infield single. He was called safe. If that first baseman turns to look at the umpire and goes, and Sal runs home while that's happening, every single person is going to be like, oh my God, Sal Frelick, what a heads-up play. I love the Brewers so much. They create chaos on the bases.
Mm-hmm.
We've said this 100 times since Pat Murphy has taken over as the manager of the Brewers. You cannot only love being aggressive when it works. So I like it. Like, it's obviously not great that he got thrown out, but the Brewers still won. And I've said this, I feel like 1,000 times. If being aggressive worked 100% of the time, everybody would do it.
Yep.
So you have to take it. You have to take those outs at home plate. You have to take the contact play outs at home plate, because there's going to be just as much chaos where Bryce Harang drops off a walk-off bunt single to win a game. We just talked about earlier in the games this week, the backup catchers dropping squeeze bunts for infield singles.
Yeah.
Like, I love the aggressiveness, even though Sal Frelick was called out on this play. Because, again, if he's safe, like, we're all just going chaos, like, having fun. So you have to be able to take that in stride. Again, it's not always going to work. If it worked every time, everybody would do it. So have to take it in stride. I still like the aggressiveness. Last thing I'll say is Isaac Collins. Congrats. First career homer. Good for him. And the Brewers are back in the win column. So 2 wins in a row. They're back to 500. They still have 2 more games against the White Sox. They play tonight and tomorrow against the White Sox. Then they play Friday through Sunday against the Cubs. And then Monday through Wednesday next week against the Astros. So we will have 8 baseball games next week. So we'll be back talking Brewers next week. Also, if you are a Packers fan, last night we talked about all their draft picks and the undrafted free agents and the rookie minicamp guys that they brought in. So go and check that out as well. We are wrapped up with our draft content, which, Jake said when we're going to get into our Bucks offseason stuff that we know ball. I promise you it's because we put a lot of work into it. And as much work as we do put into it, I wish we could do more. And all of the people who watched this entire show live and commented along, that goes a long way to help us. It's awesome to see that people are watching this almost 2-hour show to talk about the last week of professional sports in Wisconsin, in addition to the hour that we did last night. That's where we're going. That's what we're trying to do. And we want to keep putting good stuff out there. So we appreciate that people are interacting with it. And we'll be back next Wednesday.
See you then.
All right. Thanks again, everybody.